Hi and welcome. My name is Shelly Mahon, and you have joined myself and Coach Heidi Krantz for Love with a Plan Part 2. We did Love with a Plan Part 1 last week, and we'll be sure to include a little bit of a summary here in this talk, but we'll also have a link for you to go to that if you're interested in going back and listening to that one as well. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Shelly Mahon. I have a PhD in Human Development and Family Studies, and I am the author and the creator for a program that's called Apart Not Broken, Learn, Connect, and Create, which is a program for people to adjust and parent after their divorce or separation. You can find that program at www.apartnotbroken.com. And I'm going to turn it over to Heidi for her to introduce herself and her company as well.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be back for part 2 of Love with a Plan. I hope many of you joined us for part 1, but if you didn't, you can catch up with the link. So I am Heidi Krantz, and I'm a professional life coach and the founder of reinventionlifecoaching.com. And I specialize in helping people through the divorce transition and specifically with dating and re-navigating the dating world. So we're here tonight to really talk about some success strategies to make that happen as effectively as possible. So let's get to it. What do you say, Shelly?
That sounds great. That sounds great. So why don't we start by letting our audience know a little bit about what Love with a Plan Part 1 had, because we talked quite a bit about how you identify your traits and your must-have traits in the person that you're interested in. So do you want to give a little recap?
Yeah, sure. Let me give you a quick recap. The way that I developed my signature system for dating called Love with a Plan is because I was puzzled and curious about all my clients kind of approaching love life with no plan at all. We've all been there and done that, as opposed to all the other aspects of our lives where everything is very carefully planned out. So I have developed a way to carry out and orchestrate a plan for the most effective, healthy, long-lasting love life possible. And the first step that we talked about is creating your must-have list of traits. And that's not a long laundry list. It's about 5 must-have traits that you think about 5 and 10 years down the road, what needs to be in place for you to be happy with this partner. And we're talking about, again, long-lasting traits, personality and character traits that you really learn throughout your life are really important to you. You want to create a written list and define each trait very specifically and clearly according to what exactly it means to you. So that's a quick little recap of the first part of your plan. So now you're setting out to choose the partner that's right for you and not kind of be chosen by chance or by whoever might be pursuing you. So I think we're ready to go on to our second segment.
Great. Great. Thank you, Heidi, for giving us a little recap and catching us up on where we're starting. You know, it really is kind of funny. I think about all the things that I plan, and I plan like everything down to my entire day. You know, like I look at my calendar, and I've got even my entire day planned out. So it just really makes sense to be intentional and to know what it is you're actually looking for. So let's pick this up with, now you have identified your traits, and you are you're starting to talk to people, and you are even maybe ready to go out on dates and really start getting to know somebody. So let's dive into, how do you have conversations with these people that are seemingly, you know, strangers or people that you've recently met and you're trying to get to know them? Where do you start?
Yes, so we have some strategies that can start working from the very, very first initial contact that you have with people and your very first conversation. You want to kind of train your mind in a certain way to be looking for evidence of the traits that are important to you. Now, how are you going to look for evidence of the traits that are important to you, that are already on your list from part 1? You are going to master the art of asking engaging questions. And this is a great strategy because when you get used to it, it's real easy. What you're going to do is ask open-ended questions. Open-ended questions start with who, what, where, when, And other phrases like tell me about, or what was that like, or tell me more about. And you are going to just sit back and listen to the information in a curious and non-judgmental way. You are going to gather information about this person. And you're going to get a dual advantage because number one, you're going to learn what you need to learn very quickly if you're truly listening to the answers. And two, you are going to quickly endear yourself to the person that you are speaking with. Because when someone asks us open-ended questions about ourselves and truly listens to the answers, it really builds tremendous rapport and feels very unique. How many times do we go through a day or a week or a month without really feeling that anybody is truly listening to us? So by asking these engaging questions and sitting back and listening carefully, we are both gathering quickly a lot of information that we need and very quickly endearing ourselves to the person that we're talking with. What do you think, Shelly?
I think that's great. You know, I agree wholeheartedly with what you just said, that we spend a lot of our time talking too much. You know, we spend a lot of time focusing on what someone said and what our response is going to be, rather than being engaged in actually hearing, really hearing what it is they said. So, you know, that concept of asking open-ended questions, but then sitting back and really listening with the intention of getting them, with understanding what they're saying, sounds really important in this beginning step.
Yes, and you bring up a great point, Shelly, about talking too much versus listening. And one guideline that I love to give clients is we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in that ratio, in that proportion. So you really want to be listening twice as much as you're talking for the reasons that I stated earlier, and it's really great, effective communication. When you are listening to the answers to your open-ended questions, you want to be really focusing. You don't want to be fidgeting, playing with your phone, looking down at your phone, getting distracted by every noise in the room, by looking who's walking in or whose phone is ringing. It's really all about connecting with the person by giving them that gift and that respect of really hearing who they are. So, yeah.
That's great. So I'm out on a date. I'm out on a first date, and I'm sitting over coffee, let's say, and the person I'm with says, I really like to bike.
Yes.
So I might say something like, so what do you like about it?
Exactly. And that might open a lot of conversation. You see, when we ask yes-no questions, the conversation falls flat. Like, do you like biking? Yes or no. Now the conversation's over. But the way you're phrasing it, what do you like about biking? That's going to really open up conversation. Or what's your favorite place to bike? Or what's the best place you've ever biked? So there's lots of open-ended questions you can ask about biking. Now, of course, it's a conversation, so you're going to bring in information about yourself as well, and maybe about your biking experiences or lack thereof. But you're going to pay attention to that ratio, that 2-to-1 ratio that we're talking about.
Yeah.
The other advantage of asking these open-ended questions and sitting back and listening is that for many of my clients and workshop participants, it alleviates a lot of nervousness when they're out on a date, particularly when it's new, when they're navigating the dating scene, or when they're with someone new. We're always kind of wondering, what do I say? How am I sounding? How do I look? What should I say next? And that gets in the way of us kind of being ourselves and relaxing and coming through as our personal best. We're getting all tensed up, and then our sense of humor doesn't come across, and even our facial expression doesn't come across. So when we know, hey, all I have to do is ask open-ended questions and sit back and listen, and then ask an appropriate follow-up open-ended question, my whole body starts to relax into the experience, and I'm not all tensed up the way that I might be if I am desperately searching for what's the best thing to say next.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that person is going to feel more comfortable with you if you're relaxed as well. So that kind of goes both ways.
Yeah. And then they're going to be at their personal best, so you can really kind of get to know who they are and not leave with a false impression because they were too tense to show you that great sense of humor that they have, or any other wonderful aspect of their personality that might get hidden if you're not putting them at ease. So that's a really great point. Now, another really important aspect about asking these open-ended questions is you are hunting for evidence that they have the traits that are on your must-have list. But you are not generally going to ask direct questions about those traits because people tend to tell us what they think we want to hear, particularly if they like us or they're attracted to us. And it's kind of natural. So what we want to do, rather than ask the direct question, is ask other questions that are going to lead us to the information. So for example, if on our must-have list, one of our must-have qualities is that the person is very family-minded, and that's something that's important to you. So you're not going to say, are you family-minded? Because the person is likely to go into a whole rap about how family-minded they are, whether they are or they aren't. What you're going to do is ask simple questions like, how was your weekend? What did you do? And then you're going to sit back and listen. Are there any family members mentioned? Was there dinner with family? Were there children, mother, father, sister, brother, cousins? And if there weren't, well, certainly that's not evidence enough that the person is not family-minded, but you're going to go into another open-ended, very relaxed question, maybe asking how a holiday was celebrated, or what was your last vacation like? What did you do? And kind of listening for who they went with. Now, if you asked about the weekend, the vacation, and the holiday, and you still have not heard any family member, you're getting a pretty good idea that this person is not so likely to potentially have that trait that you're looking for. Is that clear? Shelly, what do you think?
Yeah, that's really clear. That's really clear.
Okay, good.
And I think that it makes it more of a natural conversation. You know, like you said, it can be awkward, or you can spend a lot of time thinking about what it is you want to say. And if you just focus on getting information about what they've been doing with their time and listening for, does this have anything to do with the things that I like? Like going back to the biking example, if you are a really active person and that's important to you, and you say, hey, what did you do this weekend? And they say, oh, you know, I got up Saturday morning and I went for a 2-hour bike ride, and then I grabbed a cup of coffee and met a friend for lunch. Then you have a sense of a lot of things out of that conversation. You have a sense that they're active. You have a sense that they like coffee. For me, that would be important because I love coffee.
Number one must-have trait.
Yeah, exactly. And you get a sense that they went and met with some friends. So maybe you get a sense they're social. So it sounds like, one of the benefits is you can get a lot of information even from just a question.
Yes, and very quickly, from 5 minutes of conversation. And then you want to look for patterns. So you heard about how they spent, let's say, their Sunday morning biking and meeting with friends. Now you want to see, is that a regular occurrence, or is that something that they did once a year? And you're going to get that by asking more questions. So you're really going to hear everything that you want to know. And one other aspect of asking these questions and gathering information is you want to really make sure that you focus on what the person is actually saying, really what you're hearing and seeing, and not what you would like to be hearing and seeing, because many of us, if not all of us, have been there and done that. So the person is very attractive to us for whatever reason, and then we start hearing things that they're saying that don't really match up with what we're looking for. And what do we do with that information? We kind of stuff it down and ignore it. and we look to see and hear what we would like to see and hear. And many times if we look back on our unsuccessful relationships, we realize that very early on, maybe even at the first meeting, that is exactly what happened. We heard something that didn't quite fit with the vision of the person that we want to be with, or maybe it was the way that they interacted with the server at the restaurant. Something told us that it wasn't quite right for us. Not necessarily that they're a bad person, but that it wasn't the right fit, and we chose to ignore that inner wisdom and pursue anyway. So this is kind of a more logical, mapped out way that you are literally looking for evidence of traits on a written list.
Yeah, yeah. I hear a couple of things. One, I hear that it can be important to be patient as well. That, you know, maybe you're going to be dealing with the fact that this person has their own kind of personality. They may be a really outgoing person that talks a lot, or maybe there's somebody who just really doesn't say much, and you're going to have to ask more questions and maybe investigate more in order to understand how they spend their time or who they are, the kind of person that they are. But I'm hearing kind of a mix of both. That, you know, you may see these things in the first time that you're out with them, but you may also have to spend some time really getting to know them. One of the questions that's coming up for me as we talk about this is, how do you avoid being in a space where you're being kind of judgmental? Because I could see how, if I have these must-have traits and I'm not sure they have them or not, or maybe they said something that goes really against it, but I'm not sure, what do I do with that? Is my question clear?
So that's a really important question, because your tone when you're asking these questions is so important. We don't want to be judging anybody, just the way we don't want to be judged when we're out on the date or at the party or at the singles event. So we really are getting into a consciousness and getting ready for the consciousness of simply gathering information with no judgment on it. And we want to try to really encourage ourselves to come from a place of curiosity. Here's a new person, and I'm curious about what they're like, and I'm going to find out. And perhaps they're going to be a good match for me, and perhaps they're not. If they're not a good match for me, they might be a fantastic person, and they likely are. They're just not the right fit. So that's really the way we want to approach all of our interactions. The other hint that I can give to really stay in a positive place is, while we're looking for our must-have traits, we also want to be what I call a good quality hunter. So that is, you're looking for all good qualities in the person, not only your must-have traits. Your must-have traits are like the highlighted traits that you're looking for. But in every word that the person is saying to you, you are training your mind and your brain to say, what am I learning that's positive about this person? So the negatives jump out at us. We don't need any coaching or any workshops or any help to identify the negatives. We want to train ourselves to be looking for the positives. So you're going to put on your good quality hunter hat and go out there, and you are going to enjoy the experience so much more and be so much more appealing. It's going to be amazing.
That's great.
You know, I'm really looking forward to talking more with everybody when we learn the next step of Love with a Plan, the next time we hang out together. What do you say, Shelly?
I think that sounds great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, are there any other tips that you want to share in this section where we're talking about really being a researcher, an investigator, you know, searching for and hunting for those positive qualities?
Yes. Here's a really important, helpful tip that many people have found helpful that I've worked with, and that is, practice this skill with people that you feel very comfortable with first. Your family, your friends, people that you are really not feeling judged by, so that you get very comfortable with it. And then you can use it with more ease when you're out there with new people. So the more you practice, and it doesn't have to be practicing with a love interest. It can be practicing with anybody, and you're really giving them a gift of feeling heard and you're giving yourself a gift of really learning to be a natural, good quality hunter.
That's great.
So if you have any questions for me, you are more than welcome to email me at coachheidik@gmail.com. That's COACHHEIDIK@gmail.com. And you're welcome to check out my website for more resources on Love with a Plan and other dating advice and moving on tips at reinventionlifecoaching.com. And I really look forward to hearing from you.
Great. Thank you so much, Heidi, for engaging in this conversation and for sharing your signature plan. You know, going back into the dating world can be a stressful, some people even say painful process if it's not something you feel like you have control. You don't feel empowered. You don't feel like you can be yourself. You know, there's a lot of personal work and things that you've shared in these last two videos, you know, that really help someone to identify who it is they are, what it is they're looking for, and see kind of a path, a plan, a way to go about it. So I really appreciate what you've shared. And if anyone needs to reach me, again, my website is www.apartnotbroken.com. You can download my free plan on how to create a plan on identifying your successes, the things that you're really good at, your strengths, and using those to move forward in your life. So again, thank you so much for being with us today. We look forward to being back on with you shortly to go over part 3 of Love with a Plan.
Fantastic.
All right.
Have a good day.
Bye for now.
Bye.